All right, let's talk about it. Every single year, we all go through this strange ritual, right? We push our clocks forward an hour, and then bam. For at least a week, the whole world just feels off. Today, we're going to dig into the real cost of daylight saving time. What is that grogginess actually doing to us?
Yeah, does this sound familiar? That alarm goes off, the clock says it's time to get up, but every single cell in your body is just screaming that it's an hour too early. It's that universal feeling of the spring forward, and you know what? It is absolutely brutal.
And that's a great question, isn't it? I mean, it's just 60 minutes. We lose an hour when we travel, we lose an hour when we stay up too late. So, what is it about this specific hour that just feels so uniquely painful? Well, let's break down the science behind the struggle. Okay, so first things first. That shared experience, that universal grogginess, it's not just in your head. It's a genuine biological response to a totally artificial change in our world. You know, one of our sources put it so perfectly. It's like we're trying to dam a tiny puddle, but there's this massive river just flowing right on past. That river, that's our internal biology. It's this powerful force that's been fine-tuned over millennia. And honestly, it doesn't really care what our clocks say. So, to really get why this 1 hour shift hits us so hard, we've got to look deep inside our own brains. We need to meet the tiny, but incredibly powerful timekeeper that's running the whole show.
Turns out, this feeling has a scientific name, circadian dysrhythmia. And it's not just being sleepy. No, this is a recognized physiological state. It's basically the exact same thing you experience from jet lag. You are, in effect, putting your body through the stress of cross-country travel without ever leaving your house.
And here's the command center for all of this. It's a tiny little cluster of about 20,000 neurons tucked away in your hypothalamus. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN. Think of it as your body's master clock. It controls everything from when you release certain hormones to your sleep-wake cycle. And its number one cue? Light. It tells your body precisely when to power up for the day and when it's time to wind down. This really gets to the heart of the problem. That 1 hour jump forward is a massive shock to your SCN. It's a sudden, forced, totally unnatural desynchronization. See, your internal clock is chugging along right on schedule, but the social clock, the one on your phone, on the wall, suddenly disagrees. And your body is just caught right in the middle. So, okay, we feel groggy, we feel out of sync, but what's the actual real-world cost? Well, researchers have been tracking this crazy annual experiment for years now, and the data, well, it reveals a pretty startling hidden tax on our collective health and safety. Okay, just let that number sink in for a second. A 24% increase in heart attacks on the Monday right after we spring forward. This isn't just some tiny statistical blip, folks. This is a huge, measurable spike in one of the most serious medical emergencies you can have, and it's directly tied to losing that one little hour of sleep. And it doesn't stop there. The American Academy of Neurology also found an 8% jump in stroke rates. The amount of stress we put on our cardiovascular and our neurological systems by forcing this change, it's very, very real. And that impact, it also spills out onto our roads. I mean, it makes sense, right? You have millions of drivers who are sleep deprived, the reaction times are shot, and studies consistently show a significant spike in fatal car crashes during the week right after the springtime change. So you have to ask, how in the world did we get here? If this thing causes so many problems, why are we still doing it to ourselves every year? The history of daylight saving time is, believe it or not, surprisingly random, and it has almost nothing to do with the reasons people use to defend it today. This quote just captures the sheer hubris of the whole idea, doesn't it? The belief that we can just command the sun, bend the fundamental cycles of nature to our will just by fiddling with a clock. And then we can do it without any consequences. This timeline is wild. It all started back in 1895 with an entomologist, a bug collector, who just wanted more daylight after work to go look for insects. Seriously. It wasn't about farmers, it wasn't about energy savings. Then, during World War I, Germany picked it up to try and conserve coal. And today, the reason it's still around is largely due to heavy lobbying from industries that make more money when you have an extra hour of daylight to go shopping or play a round of golf. And this, right here, is the perfect summary of that whole flawed logic. The people who came up with this saw one tiny potential benefit, saving a little coal or collecting a few more bugs, and they completely ignored the vast
intricate tapestry of human biology they were about to tear a hole in.
So the big question is, given that we are kind of stuck with the system for now, what can we do about it? We can't fix the national clock ourselves, but we can take some practical steps to help our bodies navigate this mess.
First, let's talk about a really important related idea, social jet lag. This is something a lot of us experience all year long, especially you night owls out there who are forced to live on an early bird schedule. Daylight savings time is just an extreme, acute version of this chronic problem, where our biology is just constantly at war with our social obligations.
And the long-term cost of this constant misalignment is serious. Research links it to major metabolic issues like obesity and diabetes, to mood disorders, a weaker immune system. You get the idea. This is why learning how to deal with the shock from DST is so critical for our overall health. So, what can you actually do? Here are 5 concrete actions. 1. Try to get ahead of it. Start shifting your sleep schedule by just 15 minutes a day for a few days beforehand. 2. Use light to your advantage. Get bright sunlight first thing in the morning and avoid that blue light from screens at night. 3. Try to keep a consistent sleep schedule, even on the weekend. 4. Eat your meals at regular times to help anchor your body's clock. And finally, number 5, just listen to your body. Be patient with the adjustment. And that right there is really the key takeaway. It's not about fighting your biology or trying to trick your internal clock. It's about understanding its rhythm and learning to work with it, not against it, to help soften the blow from this totally artificial system. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question. We can learn to adopt, we can use all these tools to lessen the damage, but when all the scientific evidence is screaming about the harm it causes, shouldn't we stop trying to adapt to a broken system and instead just fix the clock for good?